Saudara-saudari sekalian, Vanakkam, Saga Kuti Makkale, Kari Tongpao, my fellow Singaporeans. I have dedicated my life to serving Singapore, our home. Nothing could be more meaningful to me. My greatest privilege has been to work actively on the ground, week after week, for more than 2 decades, listening to people's hopes and concerns, helping them overcome setbacks in life, and sharing their joys. With our older folk who want to remain active and in good health, and whose contributions and sacrifices we must honor. With our caregivers who may have given up their own jobs and often need support and care themselves. With our middle-aged and mature workers who worry if their jobs will be secure. With our young families who remind us why we must grow opportunities for all and help every Singaporean to make the best of the future. They have each deepened my motivation to serve and my commitment to making Singapore a fairer, more compassionate, and inclusive society. Government policies are important in achieving this. However, a fair and inclusive society goes much deeper than government policies. It is about all of us. It is about the respect and friendship we extend to each other, regardless of our background and educational achievements, regardless of race or religion or any other differences. And it is about knowing that if one group of our people loses hope, we will all have less hope as Singaporeans. Now, more than before, we must deepen our solidarity as Singaporeans so that we raise each other up. My fellow Singaporeans, I believe I can now best serve Singapore, not in politics, but as your president, standing above politics. As you know, I've resigned from the PAP and as senior minister and from all my positions in government to run in this election. I have made this major decision because the elected presidency will become more important in the years to come. The challenges our country faces will grow. We are at a time of transition, both in Singapore and internationally. We are moving into a new, more difficult, and more complex era. The world is increasingly divided and unstable. Global crises, economic, geopolitical, and environmental, are already breaking out more often. They will test all countries, and especially smaller countries like Singapore. At home in Singapore, we are becoming a democracy with more diverse views. I regard this as inevitable and healthy, and have said so repeatedly. But our real challenge as Singaporeans is to ensure that this diversity of views does not lead us to a more divided society, like many others. We must be a democracy with more space for different views and a thriving civil society. But to be confident of our future, we must also be a society with a strong center of shared aspirations and respect for all citizens. If I'm fortunate enough to be elected by you, I pledge to bring my full experience and capabilities on the ground nationally and internationally to serve as your president for this new and more challenging era. I will serve you with all my heart. I will give active attention to the traditional long-standing roles of the president to serve as a unifying figure at home and to advance Singapore's interests abroad. I will also draw on my knowledge and reputation for independent thinking to fulfill the additional constitutional duties of the elected president to safeguard our reserves and the integrity of the public service. How will I serve in each of these areas? Firstly, we can and must strengthen a culture of respect for all Singaporeans in the years to come. It cannot be achieved top-down. It will be my mission to support initiatives on the ground that develop this respect for all. Respect every skill and every job. Respect those who start life with a disadvantage, those with special needs, and anyone who needs a second or third chance, and do our utmost to help them uplift themselves and make the most of life. Respect our senior citizens and extend care and friendship to the growing number who live alone. Respect for all, young and old, who need support to preserve their mental well-being. Respect our homemakers including those who want to return to the workplace after some years of looking after the family. Respect for different views and political leanings. Respect and support for talents in the arts and sports who will inspire us and enrich our Singapore identity. Respect our different faiths and expand interaction and understanding between our diverse cultures so that we add depth and resilience to Singapore's multicultural identity. I speak from experience and a long track record on the ground for all to see, of connecting with people from all walks of life, constantly seeking to bridge differences in views, and building community spirit. Secondly, if you elect me as president, I will also build on my experience in government and my international standing to promote Singapore's interests and to project our voice of reason in an increasingly turbulent world. We must never become just another small country. I have been flying the Singapore flag high internationally for many years and will work actively to strengthen our existing partnerships and build new ones. Thirdly, I will be thorough and impartial in fulfilling the constitutional duties of the President with regard to the prudent use of our nation's reserves and ensuring we have an honest and first-rate public service. Our reserves were hard-earned over generations. They reflect the unique foresight of our founding leaders and the willingness of generations of Singaporeans to save for a better and safer future. They give Singapore significant advantage in a profoundly uncertain future. Our reserves must be made to last. I have been a leader in government financial policies for many years as Minister for Finance and Deputy Prime Minister. I was also Chairman of MAS and Chairman of the GIC's Investment Strategies Committee over the last 12 years. So I come with deep knowledge and experience of how and when we should spend from our reserves to serve Singapore's needs and how they are safeguarded for the future. In holding the second key to our reserves, I will ensure they serve the interests of today's generation of adults, still working or retired, as well as the young who do not yet have the vote, and future generations of Singaporeans. However, as President, I will bring more than deep expertise and long experience. I also bring a more basic orientation, the independence of mind that I have held on to throughout my life, and my belief that we can make Singapore a fairer and better society. They are what I have been known for, both within and outside government. My path has never been predictable or assured. In my youth, I was completely occupied with sports. It was what taught me my most valuable lessons in life, valuing every member of the team, respecting my opponents, and knowing how to win and lose graciously. I made my way up the public service as a non-scholar. I had setbacks along the way, but my knees never buckled and my integrity was never in doubt. I eventually progressed to the highest levels of the public service, serving as Managing Director of the MAS. Through my many years in government as a minister, I have held on to my ideals of social justice and inclusiveness and worked continually, year after year, to build consensus on practical and sustainable ways to uplift workers and ordinary citizens' lives. While the President stands apart from the government and does not make policies, I will never waver from this purpose in my life and independence of mind as I fulfill my duties. My fellow Singaporeans, I'm an optimist in our future. We will go through ups and downs, but we're still a unique place where we can work together to make the future better for all. By continuing to deal with difficulties forthrightly and to build and rebuild trust in the Singapore system. By respecting each other and listening to every voice and every heart. And by working actively to create space for Singapore in a more endangered world. I'm convinced we can do this together. Majulah Singapura.